Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Purple People Podcast. I'm Kyle West. Adam Carlson is with me today. We are here to talk
That's right.
the Minnesota Vikings versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You ready for the show, Adam?
I don't think I'm ever ready for a show like this, but we'll give it a whirl.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Come on, I like it when they give us a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah, but I just want to remind everyone that we're on Facebook and Twitter. I know you hear it every week, but I'm saying just message us. We'll get back to you. Send us pictures like some people have been doing recently.
Yeah,
Just have fun. Let's talk about who our game ball was. I'll start, and I'll say that my game ball went to Brian Robinson this week.
good choice.
That man was everywhere on the field, swatting down balls, getting to the quarterback. He was getting pressure, and I was really proud of the way he played. And honestly, he gave me no reason to be upset with his play. So Brian Robinson gets my game ball.
Did you see Brian's Halloween costume on Twitter?
I did. I'm not a fan of the band, but
Oh man, but he can
it's
definitely
great.
rock the Kiss attire and just look awesome in that.
Oh,
So
without a doubt.
he deserves a game ball for that Halloween costume.
Did you see Jerome Simpson's?
No, I didn't. I missed that one. What was it?
He went as a replacement referee. Him and Demarius Thomas.
Oh man, Jerome's got a great sense of humor. You gotta like that about him.
Who got your game ball this week?
I'm gonna go with Jared Allen because just seeing him getting bloody and physical, and that's fun to watch. I like to see that from Jared. So I'm gonna give him the game ball, and hopefully this gets him fired up even more, and he can use that energy in the coming week. So yeah, he gets my game ball.
Did you see on the podcast page where I posted that Donald Penn said he was lucky to get that sack after the skirmish?
I did see that, and Donald Penn is an idiot. Jared Allen doesn't get lucky; he's talented. Uh, yeah.
My donkey of the week, or as I say, dronky, my dronky is Charlie Johnson. Now, Charlie, I was really hoping the move to inside would help you, and it closed with this last week that I expected better play from him, and I did not see better play. I actually saw worse play. He made Matt Khalil look bad. That's probably hard to do, being between Khalil and Sullivan. And he just let people through at a rate that was alarming. And it can't be allowed. If this keeps up, the Vikings will have to do something, maybe replace him with Schwartz or look into something at the draft because Charlie is not cutting the mustard.
Do you think he'll be gone next season?
I don't think so. His salary is not awful enough that you have to cut him,
Hmm.
but he could be a serviceable backup since he can play almost any position on the line, even though it's terribly.
Yeah, that's kind of my feelings on him too. I don't think he will be gone, but I think he's going to be moved into more of a backup or a rotational spot on the Vikings moving forward after this season. Uh, for
Definitely.
for my donkey, I'm going to go with Chris Cluey.
Oh,
And we've been talking about this, it seems like, for a couple weeks now. We've been saying that his punts have not been looking the best. To be fair for him, he had to punt 6 different times in this Tampa Bay game. So he shouldn't be out there 6 times. Our offense
no.
needs to be doing a better job, to where we only see him once or twice, the full game. But they did work out a former Colts punter over the after the game. Brian Stahovovich, I think is how you pronounce his name. So read into that what you will, Vikings fans. I kind of think they're just kind of trying to light a fire underneath Cluey a little bit. And yeah, they're checking out their options to see if his struggles continue. Well, you know what? Anyone can be replaced on the team. So yeah, just kind of Cluey, hopefully he realizes that and he kind of corrects whatever he needs to. But he's my donkey for the week.
Yeah, Clue punting has been spotty, but I don't see him going anywhere because of his contributions, not only in the punting, but as the holder on extra points and on field goals. He's an important part of that rotation, and replacing that right now, especially with a rookie kicker, might be difficult.
Mm.
So I think you're right. I think it is a scare tactic, and I hope it works because I don't want to see Cluey go anywhere because I've had nothing but great transactions with him on Twitter, and
Yeah.
I like who he's bringing to the table for the Vikings, but he's got to be more consistent.
Hmm.
All right, let's go talking about the offense. Now, the offense got a lot of crap in this Tampa Bay game for their lack of passing game.
Hmm.
Now, let's talk about that for a second. Let's break that down. Now, you gave me a good breakdown before we started on recording here about who Ponder passed to and for how many yards.
Yeah.
Now,
Like I was talking to you before the show, is that everyone was really tough on the passing game, but you actually look at the numbers and you see, well, Percy Harvin had 90 yards, Michael Jenkins had 78, Jerome Simpson had 37, Toby Gerhart had 20, Kyle Rudolph had 17, and then Red Ellison had 5, and Adrian had 4. So there are people that are getting the ball thrown to them offensively. You just got to see more explosion from the passing game, and I think that's what people are talking about when they say Minnesota needs to improve on that.
now we did see Ponder take a couple shots, like that one to Harvin that was somewhat interfered with, but ended up as an interception that was out of bounds that didn't count.
Hmm.
We also saw his interception in the garbage time there when he was just trying to force anything to
Yeah.
happen. And I'm not going to hold that against him because that's just trying to pick up more points on the board before the game is
Hmm.
over. At that point, the game was out of reach anyway. You might as well take a couple shots and see what works. And you can say the same thing about a lot of those like slant passes to Jenkins in the game. That was garbage time on slants down the field. But the truth of the matter is they've got to start working some more of those slants into their normal game because that will open up the sides of the field because the corners have to follow the wide receivers. If it's man coverage, if it's zone, then you got great blocking in front of you. Either way, you got a situation that's benefiting the receiver that's out of the backfield, whether it's Harvin or whether it's Peterson or whoever. So let's not put a whole lot of the blame here on Ponder. Let's talk about the field position battle. We saw a lot of fumbles by the offensive players. Players that don't typically fumble. We saw Peterson lose one. We saw Simpson lose one. And these are guys that aren't really known for putting the football on the ground anymore. So you can say it was a fluke that these turnovers led to points, but it's a situation that the Vikings need to be able to learn how to get themselves out of. And it's something that they didn't do. Those first 3 drives by the Vikings were insanely ugly. They were 3 and out, and it was just hard to watch.
Yeah, and you see Adrian out there, like his fumble. I don't even put that one on him because there's not much really going around him, and he's trying to make a play out there. And it was just another player that happened to hit him just right. And you know what? The ball popped out. And he's done a really good job if you look back to when we first drafted Adrian and the amount of times that he fumbled the ball versus
Oh
where
yeah.
he's at now. He's doing a darn good job with ball security. So that was just one of those kind of freak things that happened. I don't really
Yeah,
put that one.
Pearson used to actually be like a running joke that he was going to fumble all the time,
Yeah,
and then he went, the whole season. I think he fumbled once or twice last year. I think it was
uh,
almost nothing.
it was 4 if I remember right. I want to
Yeah,
say
that's
4
nothing.
times. Yeah.
That's nothing for a running back. Other than that, the offensive line I was really disappointed with. Ponder didn't really have any time because the defense was pulling these stunts on the defensive line, and
Uh huh.
honestly, Charlie Johnson looked confused every time that they started doing it. And it's
Well,
not just Charlie Johnson. I'll say that, but he is my main culprit there, and that's why he's my dronky.
yeah, and I don't know if you read that Percy Harvin was talking to some Tampa Bay players after the game, and I guess they pretty much told him that we knew coming in that you guys didn't have enough time to prepare for our blitzes, so our game plan coming in against the Vikings was we're just going to throw every blitz possible at you guys, knowing that you're not going to be able to stop it. And I
Right.
think that was pretty much what you seen uh, definitely happened to this team. And so I kind of put this loss a little bit on the coaching staff. It was a short week, and I feel like they should have got them better prepared coming into this one.
Well, I saw a quote from Frazier that said pretty much the exact same thing, is that he felt like it was his fault because of the preparation. And
Yeah.
I think that that may be dead on because that short week coming off that a hard-earned win, and I just don't think that they were prepared. I don't think that they were ready for this at all.
hmm And it sucks that the team wasn't fully prepared like what they should have been. But I actually do like the fact that Frazier is man enough to come out and admit and say, hey, you know what? This one is on us. Because you look back at Brad Childress and how he ran the Vikings, and you know as well as I do, he would have thrown players underneath the bus and
Oh,
tried to
he's done it
make it
before.
yeah, he would have tried to make it look like it's someone else's fault, and oh, it's everyone but Brad Childress. And I like the fact that Frazier will actually come out and say, hey, you know what? This one is on us. We got to do a better job at getting the team prepared.
And not only did he say that, but he said that the fault of the offense is on a lot more than Christian Ponder's shoulders.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
he's absolutely right on that. And the sad part is that Ponder is getting all the scrutiny. You've got people calling for Webb. You got people asking for Vince Young, Michael Vick, all
MBT.
these guys, and it's just not making sense.
I don't I don't understand. I guess it's short-term memory loss, but do we remember back in preseason when we were all asking what's wrong with Joe Webb? Uh, he was not playing like a starting quarterback in the NFL in preseason, let alone
No.
someone that you want to throw in the middle of the season to suddenly go out there and save the season. Guys, we're 5-3 right now. We're doing better than what most experts said that we should have been at this point in the season. So we should be glad that we're talking about the team needing to improve to where we can possibly make a wild card push. So,
Right.
be thankful that we're at where we're at right now.
All right, let's take a minute to talk about the defense here because that's where we saw a lot of problems this week. We saw missed tackles. We saw Doug Martin running all over the Vikings. We saw him catching passes out of the backfield and just taking off. And it was sickening to watch.
Yeah, it really was. I love Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith has to learn to tackle. He's got to learn that he can't just throw his shoulder into someone and they're going to fall down. He's got to learn to get his arms up and around them and actually take these guys down. And I know he's going to get there, and you forget sometimes that, okay, he's a rookie, he's going to make these rookie mistakes, and once he gets them corrected, he's going to be a darn good player for the Vikings. And I just want to see him learn to do that.
You know something really funny is that was going to be my end rant is that Harrison Smith, I love his play. I love how he's always in position. But he hasn't been wrapping up. He's been throwing his shoulder and hoping the guys just get smashed to the ground. And you can't do that in the NFL. You can't.
No, you can't, and it's kind of cool that we're on the same page with that one. But like I say, Harrison will get there, and
Right.
once he gets a couple seasons into this, he's going to be a beast. That the opposing quarterback is always going to have their eye on where Harrison's at, and they're
Oh,
going to
yeah.
throw the ball in the opposite direction.
Well, you remember back in the Lions game when Kelvin Johnson admitted that he was afraid to catch the ball over the middle of the field
Yeah,
because of him and Chad Greenway.
yeah,
And that kind of fear in a wide receiver or in an offensive coordinator or anything like that can make a huge difference in a game. But in this Tampa Bay game, what made a huge difference was the matchups. We saw, as I predicted, the tall wide receivers
hmm
took advantage of the smaller Minnesota secondary. And by that, I don't mean to call AJ Jefferson small. He's 6'1". But when you're going up against guys that are 6'3" and 6'5", that makes a lot of difference when you're getting up to a point to catch a football.
hmm
So people complained about how bad this loss was, but the teams matched up so poorly. The Vikings matched up so poorly against this Tampa Bay team that I saw this coming. And I hate to admit it, but I was right. And I don't want to be right because the Vikings don't have that mid-level to deep threat. They don't have the taller secondary, and with Cook out, it's going to hurt even more
Yeah,
because we lost him this game.
yep, that was the next big point that I wanted to bring up on the defense is that Chris Cook is out with a broken arm. Uh,
Now, he
that
is on the IR where he's eligible to return,
Yes.
So if the Vikings do somehow weasel their way into the playoffs, which is possible, but
Hey, yeah.
I'm going to say unlikely, if it is possible that they would be able to get him back in time to play. In the meantime, they've said that they're going to be splitting his job between Josh Robinson and AJ Jefferson, which I like. I like that
Hmm.
because it all depends on the type of player he's matching up against. I can get that completely. Uh, but the missed tackles by the defense was what really burnt my biscuits this week because we even saw Chad Greenway take a couple bad angles, and that's not him. He's better than that. He's shown that he's better than that.
Hmm.
Uh, we even saw Winfield getting beat, and I don't know if it's like a night game thing for the Vikings where they always play bad at night games or some sort of primetime thing because the
It's
national spotlight has never been nice to the Vikings.
it's the primetime curse of the Minnesota Vikings. Every single time we have a big primetime game where all the analysts are talking about the Vikings, I don't know what it is, but we always find a way to not play well in those games. Regardless if it's a win or a loss, we just always kind of don't look right. So I like it when we don't play in prime time, and when they don't talk about us on the NFL Network, that's when we seem to play our best football. So
Well, you'll be happy to know the rest of our games are the noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern, so
yeah,
we
so
don't have
we
to worry
we can
about
we can
that.
run the gauntlet on those ones, right? But you stick us on a Thursday night, and it's just
Yeah, and then it's all over. It's not
yeah.
good. All right. If you don't have anything else to say, I'd like to hop into a little game here and see how many of these you can name.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one because I have no idea what you've got in store right now.
No, no, and I thought this would be fun. Okay, so the Minnesota Vikings, as a team, have 5 league leaders on their team. And I
Okay,
was wondering how many of them you can guess.
we're talking about like leaders and stats, right?
Right, statistically.
Okay.
Not
Well,
like arrests or anything like that. We're talking on
well,
field stats.
we're not the Detroit Lions. We're not in. Anyway,
Individual players' records that are leading the league right now.
well, Adrian Peterson with the rushing record,
Yep, Adrian Peterson is leading the league right now with 775 rushing yards.
which is awesome, coming off a knee surgery. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think what else. Percy Harvin's got to be up there for something.
What you got him for?
I want to say, God, I want to say all-purpose yards, but
Percy
that's
Harvin leads the NFL in all-purpose yards with 1,274.
was it? Okay, that was my gut. I was gonna say like overall touches or something, but
Well, I've got 2 more. I'll give you a hint. 2 more of the records here, or the league leaders, are Percy Harvin.
oh, okay. Um, what else has Percy done? Probably, well, like I said, all some kind of all-purpose yardage or something.
That's what you got. You got that one already. The 1,274
Yeah.
all-purpose yards.
Well, what's the other two?
Uh, one is catches. He has 60 catches this
Oh,
year,
okay. Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's tied with Wes Welker for number 1 in the NFL. And his other one is that he has 523 yards after the catch,
Nice.
which leaves one final league leader.
Uh, Blair Walsh?
It is not Blair Walsh.
It's not
It
Blair
is
Walsh.
Chad Greenway.
What's Chad
Leads the
Greenway?
league with 80 tackles.
Oh, awesome. Hey, that proves all
He's
the
only winning it by 1 tackle, but
Hey, that proves all the Greenway critics wrong. Right?
I've been a big fan of Greenway ever since he got drafted, and I love how he's playing. I love the way he plays. He is going to be a cornerstone of this defense for a long time.
Hmm.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, and shout out to my friend Josh. I know he's a big time Chad Greenway fan too. So he will take any and every opportunity to talk about him. And that's really cool. We were talking about Percy there a minute ago, and you look at those stats and numbers and stuff, and that's why I think he needs to be at least in the conversation for league-wide MVP.
Definitely.
Yeah.
When you have a guy leading your team in those categories, catches, all-purpose yards, yards after the catch, That means that he is working his buns off. That's what that means.
Yeah. If you take him away from this Minnesota Vikings team, would we have even won a football game this season?
That's a tough question.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
imagine if he would have been traded before this
Oh,
season.
no, that's a horror story. I don't even want to think about that.
Maybe Jarius Wright would have stepped in and played like him, though. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm hoping that Jarius is going to be active this coming week, but
That would be nice to see.
we shall
Very
see.
nice
I've been hoping that all season. But,
I've been hearing that it is his attitude that's holding him back.
huh.
That he is a poor practicer and he doesn't take any initiative for himself in workouts or anything like that. So I'm hearing it's him himself that's keeping him off the field.
That's kind of disheartening to hear because, gosh, we had a chance to meet him up in Mankato, and you talk about a guy who was just as nice as could be to the fans, and shoot, he stood outside for 20 minutes signing autographs one night when we were up there, just talking to people, taking photos with everyone, and he seemed like a great guy, so yeah, it kind of sucks to hear that his a little bit of an attitude problem maybe with him, but
So I'm hoping that him being benched for this time has got him a little bit under control, and him saying, "Hey, I've got to straighten up my act, or I'm not going to get playing time, which means I'm not going to get yards and touchdowns, which means I'm not going to get the big paycheck."
yeah.
So let's talk about next week's game, which for some reason I keep saying that the Vikings are going to be playing the Seattle Supersonics, which I know isn't right, and it's not even up to date. I mean, some people listening to this probably don't even know who the Seattle Supersonics were. But that's okay. That's all right.
You can ask Adam on Facebook, on facebook.com/Purple People Podcast,
That's true.
about the Seattle Supersonics. You want to know what just bothers the hell out of me for this game is that the story coming into it is how well Sidney Rice is going to match up against the Minnesota Vikings defense.
What? Really?
Yeah,
That's the big plot line?
yeah, that's the big plot line.
Now, the thing I like about Seattle is that they match up in a totally different way than Tampa Bay did.
Hmm.
The Seattle Seahawks wide receivers are smaller. They've got Golden Tate. They've got Doug. I don't remember his last name. I just call him Doug.
You're on a first name basis with
Doug
Doug,
Baldwin.
right?
That's his last name.
Yeah.
And these guys are not tall players, but they are speedy, and that matches up well against this Vikings defense.
Well, but
so
Sidney,
I'm thinking,
I mean, don't discredit what Sidney, can bring to the table. And he's healthy right now too.
at least as of this recording, he's healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, what can I say? I'm a big Sidney Rice fan, and I wish he would have not wanted to take so much money and stuck around in Minnesota.
Well, here's my final stamp on Sidney Rice. When he was in Minnesota, I loved him. I loved the hard work he put in. I loved what he could play, but his body couldn't handle it. And the Vikings couldn't pay him what he wanted for the production that he was getting with his health. And it's a shame he had to go.
Yeah.
And I think that if he was healthy, he could still be there helping this team. But as of him being let go, there's nothing that could happen. Kind of sad, but true.
Yeah.
I've also been hearing rumors about the Vikings possibly cutting ties with John Carlson before the trade deadline.
No kidding. I haven't really been on Twitter or any of the sites today. I hadn't heard that one, so that's actually news to me.
I was
Wow.
kind of looking around, and the thing that always gets me the most is when I know a player is going to get the axe, is when a coach comes out and specifically says this player isn't going anywhere. He's an important part of our team. And
which means
Coach
he's the
Frederick
first
gives
one
that-
out the door, right?
With John Carlson, so I'm thinking, I don't know if I buy it.
Wow, I kind of thought that he was going to have a 2-year kind of grace period just based on how his contract was set up, where he could come in and, well, if it doesn't work out this season, well, he's got next season to kind of prove himself, and then if it doesn't, it was, hey, we pat him on the back and we gave you a try and it didn't work out. But man, I tell you what, the Vikings are more decisive now with players, and hey, if it's not working out, you're out the door. There's no more, well, why don't you come back to the team, Bernard Berrien, and we'll see what happens. And
No.
I respect that from Minnesota.
And let's be honest here, Rhett Ellison has stepped up in a way that they expected him to when he was drafted.
Mhm.
He can take that number 2 role, and he does have the hands to be a pass catcher, which almost makes John Carlson, and I hate to say it, very expendable.
Expendable, yeah. That was the exact word I was thinking of, too, was expendable. We are not talking at all about the Seattle Seahawks football game. I just
So
realized.
there, Washington, that's something.
Well, yeah. I got a couple quotes here that I wanted to bring up. Cause,
I like quotes.
yeah, my friend Rob, he lives out there in Seattle. He's a big Seahawks fan. And
All right.
so I figured I would kind of ask him, what is it like being in that stadium? What can, for Vikings fans who have never been out there, you hear a lot about the noise, from the fans. And he said that they actually rent out and sell ear protection in that stadium, and it gets so loud that the person who's right next to you, you can't even hear him talking to you. Okay? So that's what the Vikings are going to be experiencing when they're out there. He defined it as organized chaos, with the fans, and that people, they stand up and they don't sit down for the entire game. This is a hostile, loud environment that Minnesota is going to play in. It is going to be a big time test for Christian Ponder to see if he can get the plays off before the play clock reaches 0, especially if he's got to call and do audibles out there at the line. I hope that that they're working on the crowd noise, and I hope that they're prepared for what they're going to face going into Seattle.
Well, here's some good news for you. I've been reading that Ponder has been working on his hand signals rather than using his voice to
Good.
adjust on plays, which is fantastic, is that he can read those in from the sideline even, and then adjust from there.
Yeah, so we're going to see him doing maybe a little bit of the Peyton Manning, signal calling when he's out there.
Doing some Gangnam style in the backfield or something.
Oh, yeah. That'd be awesome. I bet you could get the other team to jump off sides for that one.
Yeah, there's actually a new rule this year that quarterbacks can't do a jerking motion to try to draw defenders offside.
Yeah.
I think that's a weird rule. But hey, because remember how quarterbacks used to just stomp their feet and bob their head and try everything they could to get them?
Yeah. Brett Favre was actually really good about doing that, about making just the way he would be out there, about making the other team jump off sides just based on his body language.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Hey,
All right, so let's talk about that.
There's our first Brett Favre reference since what, the preseason?
And I didn't even bring it up. I don't deal with those old farts.
Well, you see
Let's talk about that Seahawks defense. Because that Seahawks defense is scary. They've got big guys along the defensive line. They've got fast, talented, young guys in the secondary. And they are scary. Earl Thomas. I don't know how they made him in what laboratory, but the guy's a freak. He's not human.
Yeah. I'm worried about Marshawn Lynch, personally. They've been doing pretty good against the run, except recently they've not been doing so hot. And if he can get going, that doesn't spell good things for the Minnesota Vikings.
Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the Vikings are going to be fine against Marshawn Lynch.
Oh, you think so?
Because, just for this reason, Marshawn Lynch is not the kind of speed back that Stevens Howling is, or the kind of speed that Doug Martin can get up to. He's more of the bruiser type quarterback. And the Minnesota defensive line and linebackers are good tacklers. And I don't really see him getting off an explosive run like he did against Detroit.
Well, you never know with him. I mean, he's got the possibility to break one at any given time. So it'll be interesting. Like you said, we talked a little bit about the poor tackling and bad angles that the team's been taking recently. So all that it takes is one slightly missed tackle and a bad angle by Chad Greenway, and he can go into beast mode and be 60 yards up the field. It can happen. I don't want it
Can.
to happen, but it could.
And let's talk about the other elephant in the room here. Let's talk about the Vikings and their record so far against rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
They have not beat a rookie quarterback yet. And saying that Russell Wilson is a rookie quarterback is kind of not fair to him because he is playing like a veteran, especially at home.
Mm-hmm.
His numbers at home are unbelievable. I don't have them here in front of me, but go ahead and look them up because they are drastically different when he's at home and when he's on the road. And this Green Bay Packers team that went into Seattle weren't expecting the type of battle they did from that secondary. And they got a fight. They held their team to almost nothing as far as the passing game goes. So you've got to take advantage, if you're Minnesota, of that short game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what's going to help Minnesota stay in this game. Is their ability to get yards in the run and off the screen passes.
Yeah, just get the ball to Percy Harvin. Just get it to him. And Kyle Rudolph, I forgot to mention that earlier, but Kyle Rudolph needs to be a bigger part of the passing game. You were talking about running slants to the out more often. Well, run them to Kyle Rudolph. That to me kind of seems like a given.
Yeah, with his size and his catch radius, it's easy to just throw one up to him, especially if you're in the red zone. I can see it happening pretty easily. He's
not going to get a lot of yards after the catch, but he's going to consistently catch the ball, and you're going to get 8 yards here, 6 yards there, and 18 yards on this one, and he's going to consistently bring that to the table. So they need to do a better job of getting the ball to him.
Definitely. So what are you thinking? Are you thinking a loss this week, or are you going with a win?
Oh, I really believe that the Seattle Seahawks have a darn good advantage playing in that stadium based on how loud it's going to get. It's going to be a really stressful test for this Minnesota Vikings. I think they're going to come out and they're going to make it a competitive game, but I think they're going to come up short in this one.
So you're picking Seattle?
I'm picking Seattle.
All right.
And I'm picking Sidney Rice with a touchdown, too.
You and your former Vikings touchdowns, I tell you. Now,
hey, I
was
half
prediction,
right on that one on Twitter, right?
You guys know where to go to get my prediction, right?
Facebook.com/PurplePeoplePodcast.
Go there. I'll post up my 10 predictions like I have been every week. I've been getting better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this week I'll run the table. Who knows?
Do you got a win or a loss, or are you saving that for the Facebook?
Oh, I'm saving it.
You're saving it. Okay.
I'm definitely saving that one.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to thank everyone for tuning in because I think that that's all we have for this week.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, that'll do it. I am good to go.
All right. And I'd like to remind everybody, Facebook, Twitter, talk to us. And remember, stay classy, Minnesota.